Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, August 14th, 2025, and this is episode 313. My name is Carol. I'm known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. I hope you are all doing well and that you've had a good 3+ weeks since we last chatted. That seems to be the way of it this year, but I'm just rolling with it and doing the best I can. One thing about not seeing you for a while, and good thing about taking a long road trip, is I have lots and lots of things to show you, including 3 finished knitting projects. Pardon me, before I do that, just a reminder that there's a make-along taking place in the Ravelry group called Stash Spectacular, where you are encouraged to come and participate and show us what you're making out of your yarn, fiber, and pattern stash. And one of these days, I'll get back to it, I promise. We're in my craft room again, as I'm sure you can see. I'm trying something new again. I'm sitting at my sewing table right in front of the window, and I think it should provide pretty good light for today's episode. The downside of it is that I can see outside and see people walking by and different things like that, so I might be a little bit more distracted. I also think this lighting shows off my gray hair more than usual, but that's okay. If I didn't want to be gray, I'd be coloring it. So, all right, let's start. I have 3 pairs of socks that I have finished since I last saw you, only one of which you've seen before. So these are my Elbows Up Shorty Socks by Alexandra Mayte. And I knit them from some Polka Dot Creek yarn. It was the classic sock set, not clock set, in the Canada Day colorway. You'll note the original spelling of day there. So the set came with this main color and a mini skein of cherry and a mini skein of gray. As I mentioned last episode, the original pattern does have stripes on the foot, which I was going to do in gray. But then once I reached that point, I realized that my feet are really short. And so adding the gray in addition to this coordinating toe, it just didn't really work out. And so, sorry, I told you I was going to be distracted. I could see someone walking by. Anyway, um, yeah, once I started, I thought, I didn't really know the ratio. They give you some suggested ratios of stripes for various sizes, but following the one for my size, and I just didn't feel like fiddling with it. So I just left them plain and actually think they're quite cute. So I started these socks the day before Canada Day, which was July 1st, or is always July 1st. And it just seemed like a really fitting project to be working on Canada Day. So I'm going to bring that one of these in a little bit closer so you can see there's color work with little Canadian flags. And then if you twist this around, the front and the back have this little kind of chevron pattern. It shows up better on one sock than the other because I think I explained last time too. Sometimes the red speckles end up in sort of the wrong spot. It looks like a mistake in the color work, but it's just an extra red speckle or two. Anyway, I think I knit them more or less as written. I did probably do my own heel and toe because I have a tendency to do that. But anyway, really love these. I think they are super fun. I love how they turned out. So I had a ton of yarn left over, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and cast on another pair of socks with that yarn. And here they are. So as you can see, I incorporated the gray mini into this pair. So this is just a pair of my usual top-down plain vanilla socks. I should mention that the colorwork socks were 60 stitches, I think, on a 2.25 millimeter needle. These are 64 stitches on a 2mm needle, which is usually my go-to. So I had just a little bit of red left, so I thought I would incorporate it here between the cuff and the leg. Knit the leg just plain, did an eye of partridge heel, and my usual rounded toe. So I think when I was done, I think I had like 2 grams of gray left. And that's it. So I love that I've used up almost all the minis that came. And I still have a little bit of sock yarn left over, which I'll put in my sock yarn scraps, and I'm sure I'll find a use for it at some point. So yeah, aren't these fun? So between the 2 pairs, I've got 2 very patriotic socks here. I traveled halfway across Canada and back this summer, and it just seemed like perfect projects to be working on, although I did finish these before we left on our trip. So I had another pair of socks that I worked on our trip, and I'm just going to switch out these socks, put the other one's on my sock blocker. So last time I saw you, I was working on spinning some fiber from Chaotic Fibers. It was a hand-dyed Polworth and nylon blend. So I'm going to give you a couple pictures here of what the yarn looked like while I was spinning it up, and how it looks after it was spun. And once I get this second sock on a blocker, I can show you how it looks after knitting it into socks. Look, how fun is that? So the yarn I ended up with turned out to be about a DK weight. So I had to do a little bit of experimentation with this cast on, because I very rarely make DK weight socks. Wasn't sure how many stitches to cast on. I started from the toe up, then I changed my mind. Then I went from the top down, and then I changed my mind because I was worried about running out of yarn again. So I took it back, started from the toe again, and that's how I ended up doing it. So I cast on 48 stitches on a 2.75mm needle, and it turned out to be just the right size. So a little trial and error paid off. So yeah, I used Judy's Magic cast on for my toe. I did a German short row heel, and then a 2x2 rib at the top, and used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. So I found it really interesting because I weighed the yarn out and I divided it in half. And then with my various starts and stops, I started at different places in the ball on each of them. And I realized as I was knitting them that even though the balls weighed the same, one was shorter than the other. And that was a result of some tighter plying that I had done in the plying process. And so there's let me see if I can, yeah, this sock. I can even just feel it now. It's a little bit thicker. It's got a less soft feel to it. I don't know if you can tell or not. This section especially, it's over plied. It's very tight, and just it just feels different than parts of the other sock. So what I ended up doing is keeping track of rows, and then when I was running out of yarn on the one ball, I took the center pull from took the other end of the skein that I was working on for this sock, and I joined it up to this one. And actually what I ended up doing was joining it up in exactly the same place that I had split the skein. So what had ended up happening is I had knit this sock from one end of the original skein and the other sock from the other end of the original skein. And so literally if I hold them this way, which I guess That's how the skein would have worked. Started from one end, worked them way all the way down to the toe on the other. How's that for a what do they call it? A thumbnail? That would look a little crazy, wouldn't it? Anyway, I thought that was just very fortuitous that I felted the two ends together, and so you can't even tell where I added in the new yarn. That's how smooth it was. So that was perfect. So these are definitely thicker than socks I usually make, but I think they'll be nice and warm this winter. It might be a good pair of house socks or, boot socks, something like that. And even though way I'm holding it looks like this one's shorter than the other, it's just the way I'm holding it. They are actually pretty well identical. So yeah, I should just bring that in a little closer so you can see all the barber poling. I think did this one, I think I just kind of did it fairly randomly. I can't even remember how I prepped the fiber. I think, oh, I know, I think I just divided it up and kind of spun it end to end to end, but because when you're plying, like you can see when I started this sock, this is probably the end I started plying because there's quite homogeneous sections here where the same blue section was plying with the same blue section, et cetera, et cetera. And then as I went on, it became more and more random just because you don't ever have the same tension throughout. So they are fraternal twins, but they match, so that's all counts. Last episode, I also showed you I was working on some little lavender sachets, hand woven or hand knit from Handspun for our upcoming Spinners and Weavers Guild's spin-in this fall. I think I showed you maybe 5 or 6, so I can't remember if I showed these to you. They're from some Fiber Knit for Dye Works yarn, kind of my leftovers that I had spun up. And then I think last episode I showed you this green yarn that I had spun. So this was like one of the little ends. I love that, how it knits up. I'm really anxious to knit up with this yarn. I think I'm going to make probably a hat out of it. So I do have 10 of these all together. We were asked to do 5, so I'm an overachiever. But I thought that would make up for some people who don't spin, so wouldn't have the Handspun on hand, or maybe don't knit, and I'm not going to be there. I get back from Norway the day that it takes place, and so I thought that'll at least help out a little bit. So these were kind of fun to make. They didn't take long, and it was fun to get to see how some of my Handspun knit up if I hadn't knit with that particular one yet. So oh no, I have one more work in progress. Well, speaking of Handspun, actually, because it's knit out of Handspun also. Look at me. I'm just gonna clean this pattern here. So I am making a hat called I'm the Rock. It is by Shanna S. Cohen, who is Shanna Lines Designs. And not a very good picture of the hat. Hopefully that's clear enough for you to see. It's basically the ribbing is like a twisted rib, 1x2 rib, and then the body of the hat is garter stitch broken up by lines of twisted stitches, vertical lines of twisted stitches. So I'm using this yarn that I spun from Useful Creations, who is Jude. This is BFL, Blue Faced Luster, and it kind of came up, it varies on the thickness. I'm knitting it up as a worsted weight. And so here's what I have so far. So this I spun as a fractal spin. So this I took the braid, divided it in half lengthwise, and I spun that one half of that braid just end to end from beginning to end. And then the rest I split up into other vertical sections, and then I spun those end to end to end to end. And that's given me kind of a striping effect. So I love these colors, they're so pretty. And you can see the texture. So here's that 3x1, or 1x2, I should say, twisted rib. And then this is the garter stitch section with these twisted stitch lines that go up. And I've got this, whoops, I think I just dropped a stitch. Yes, I did. I've got this pretty little amber stitch marker, which I thought went well with the yarn. So here, let me slip that back on. Yeah, anyway, that's fun. I don't knit a lot of hats, but I wanted just another easy project that wasn't socks for a change. And yeah, it's fun. It's satisfying because they knit up more quickly than socks. And I'm really enjoying working with my Handspun. Just, I hear that a lot. Spinners tend to kind of stash it, hoard it. I don't know, but I want to work with mine, and I am enjoying it very much. And then speaking of Handspun, I do have some more spinning to talk about. So last episode I showed you I was working on a merino combed top from Useful Creations. I think I called it something like Summer Fun. And I think I have a couple pictures here. I could show you what the fiber looked like and what the yarn, or what the singles look like. And here it is. I did a 3-ply. So this is my finished 3-ply. Look how pretty, so pretty. So I ended up with 94 grams, about 254 yards, works works out to about a sport DK weight. Not sure what I'm going to make with this one, but I think it's super pretty. I was pretty pleased. It's actually, it's fairly even as I show you this big thick yellow part in the right in the center there, but it's pretty good. And then I had the remaining, so I had 3 bobbins of it, spun a traditional 3-ply, and then when I got to the point where I had leftovers on 2 of the bobbins, I chain plied it. So that's also a 3-ply, but you are keeping the colors together. So I ended up with, oh, I have it written here, about 54 yards, 21 grams of a chain ply. Some parts I'm happy with, like this looks really good. Not sure how, it's hard for me to tell on my phone. I hope it's not blurry, but it's hard to tell sometimes. Some places were definitely underspun because I knew my tension was not great. So yeah, there's parts in here that, like this, which is quite underspun. That's okay. It's all a learning experience, but look how different it looks, right? That's what I love, is that you get such a different type of yarn depending on what you do with it. So this kept all those colors kind of more intact. in longer lengths. Pretty, hey? So I thought I may do some more of these with it. 'Cause I'm not sure what else I would do with it. But I don't know. I'll see how my time goes and what I feel like working on. So we're not sure, or we are not sure. The royal we. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. It was a fun one to spin because it was like just so pretty. Such pretty colors, such summery, fun colors. And then last episode, I don't have the tag handy here, but last episode I showed you another braid of fiber from Chaotic Fibers that I got when I ordered my e-wheel. And it was a merino nylon blend. And I told you it reminded me of popsicles because it was like a gradient from purple to orange to yellow to green. And just with the orange, green, and purple, just reminded me of boxes of popsicles we used to get when we were kids. And so I originally was going to just divide the braid in two, spin it end to end, and chain ply it to keep all the colors intact. But then when I started to take it apart, I realized that it wasn't, or actually what I was going to do, pardon me, what I was going to do is take the braid, break it in half horizontally, find the middle, break it, spin it end to end, chain ply it. And so I would have two matching skeins that would go from like the purple to the green and be the same. But then I realized if I did that, I probably wasn't going to be able to use all the yarn. There was a good chance that I wouldn't be able to make my socks incorporate all of the colors if I spun it finely enough that it became more like a fingering weight. And so instead, I ended up breaking it into, I don't even remember now, but I spun 3 bobbins, and basically each bobbin has 1 1/3. Broke it into 4, 4 equal parts, and then I think I broke the one into 3. I don't know. Basically, what I'm ending up with is of the 4 sections I broke it into, I'm ending up with like 1 1/3 sections on each, and the colors run into each other. So I have it here on my Lazy Kate. You can see they look different because of how I spun them. And so like this one, when I start playing, it's going to start playing with green. When I start playing this one, where's the end? Here it is. This one is going to start playing with orange. And then this one, oops. Whoops. It's going to start, give me a second. It's hard to do, oh, there it is. Hard to find the ends. It's going to start playing with purple. So these are going to have barber poling, and they will not be fraternal or identical. They will just be a combination of different amounts of barber poling. But I think it'll be fun. So I finished spinning this a couple days ago, and I'm just going to let the singles rest probably another day or two before I apply them up. I let these ones, like these, sat for quite a while I was away. And so I found it quite easy to ply it. And I was watching something on YouTube, I can't remember which podcast, that they kind of did a comparison with whether you let singles rest or not. And it does seem to be a good thing to let them rest. Doesn't mean you can't have usable yarn if you don't. It just helps to relax the fibers a bit. And so there's not as much curling back on themselves when you go to ply. So yeah, this is my Ashford tensioned Lazy Kate. But you can see my e-wheel bobbins do fit on there, and it works fine with them too. Part of me is, I'm debating whether to get the Lazy Kate that you can get to go with the e-spinner. I may consider that just for, mostly for portability's sake, and it's very, what's the word? Versatile, because you can put 2 or 3 together. They attach magnetically. So I might give that a try. It's not too expensive. So anyway, I was just gonna see if I can just twist this a little bit to give you an idea how the 3 colors here will ply up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to go, because it's always a mystery until you do it. You never know exactly how it's going to look. That's part of the things I really love about spinning. I thought I was going to be super rusty, but I haven't had to. Well, I did restart the beginning a few times, but things are flowing. I like this. I have some acquisitions from when I was on my trip. Our second to last stop was Calgary, and I wanted to go in, find a yarn store and pick up some yarn for our daughter-in-law who was watching our place, watering all the plants while we were gone. And so I did, I found, it was the holiday Monday. If you're in Canada, you know a lot of the provinces have their holiday on the first Monday of August, pardon me, including Alberta. And so this was the only yarn shop I could find that was open, but it was easy to find. It's called Stash, and their website is www.stashlounge.com. So I don't know if it's called Stash Lounge or just Stash. That's how it is on the receipt anyway. Anyway, a beautiful, beautiful shop. There are 2 people working there. They were really friendly, really would have been super helpful if I'd needed more help. I just mostly was looking around, but yeah, very nice yarn shop. I could highly recommend. So I did pick up a skein of Ancient Arts Sock NATO plus a mini for Stephanie. And then I also picked up a skein for myself. So I'm trying not to crinkle my, well, I just failed, didn't I? I just dropped the brown bag on the floor. Anyway, this is the August color of the month from Ancient Arts. It's called Ice Cream Sunday. Thought it was really pretty. And then I decided to pick up a little mini one. This is the color on here. Pumpkin Spice. So pumpkin spice and ice cream sundae don't necessarily go together, but the colors do. And that's what mattered to me. So I'll do some heels, toes, and cuffs, or heels and toes, or some combination therein, and with this yarn. So that, and then of course now with my new obsession, I need to get souvenir fiber also. So they suggested, this is from Fiber Goddess, which is in Alberta Dyer, near Calgary also. I think here, why don't I take it out? Try not to crinkle too much. Look how pretty. So this is Fiber Goddess. There you go. There you go. And this is 100% Polworth. This is the Flower Power colorway. And this was the Tour de Fleece color this year. So that seemed fitting. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one to spin up. It is just, it's not superwash. So I'll have to be mindful of what I make with it. Won't be socks, but it's very pretty and very soft. So looking forward to spinning that up at some point. So I think that is it for all the yarny goodness. A little bit of a life update. Let me have a sip of tea and wet my whistle here first. Looks like we might get a little bit of rain here. I know they're predicting rain for tomorrow. Just all of a sudden the sky is a little bit darker and yeah, it looks like we could see some showers, which would not be a bad thing. We had some hotter days earlier this week, and today it's cooler but a little bit muggy. So a nice hard rain fall would be a great thing. So yes, Cameron and I went on a road trip to Regina, Saskatchewan. And the main purposes of the trip were to attend the interment of his two aunts' ashes. They had passed away last year, just a few months apart. And then the other main reason for going was while we were there to take a little day trip and drive outside of Regina, more to the east and southeast, and check out where his parents grew up. So Cameron had not been since he was a kid. Now he thought he was fairly young, judging from just discussions with some of his cousins and looking at various things. He may have been as old as 14, but he said he felt like he was younger than that. So not really sure the last time he was out there, but uh, his mom was raised on a farm in a small Welsh settlement east of Regina. And then his grandparents later moved to Regina, and as did two of his aunts for a while. Well, at various times, like his mom and dad were married there. His mom worked there for a while at the post office, which is where she met his dad, but they lived in BC most of their married life. But his grandfather lived out his life in Regina, as did one of his aunts. So we were able to find the homes that they had lived in. So it was really, really cool to see some of these places for myself. I've done some of the genealogy, and to be able to actually picture the communities that I'm marking down and just get a sense of the area that they grew up. It was really neat. So in all, we traveled almost 4,000 kilometers, and that is about 2,500 miles. So it took us 2 days to get to Regina, and then uh, 2 days to go from Regina to our family cabins. And then those kilometers are also including our day trip, which I forget the amount of kilometers round trip, but I think just driving time, it was something like 5 hours or so. So it was a lot of driving that day too. Our days averaged about like 750, 800 kilometers. So they were long, but they were good. We had good traffic and few rainstorms, hard rain showers, um, but mostly good weather other than that. And first day I was kind of uncomfortable. My hips kind of get tight, often my left side, often right from the top down to the bottom, I'll be tight along that side. But after that first day, actually, it was quite comfortable, and I enjoyed seeing part of the country that I hadn't seen before. The furthest east I had been before was Brooks, Alberta, which is, not sure how far it is from the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. For those who aren't familiar with our geography, think west coast. I'm about 100 kilometers in from the coast of British Columbia east. And then next to BC is Alberta. Next to that is Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan's like one of our prairie provinces. So it's basically kind of smack in the middle of the country. Um, so, I've heard all about prairies, and there's this sense that they're just flat and unchanging. And while there are places that are flat and relatively unchanging, there's also a lot of rolling hills and some actually really beautiful scenery. I had seen my oldest sister used to live in northern Alberta, and can remember going for a drive in the country and seeing fields of canola in bloom. And it's a small yellow flowered plant. Well, the plant has small yellow flowers. And when it's all in a field ripe, it's almost a greeny, brilliant greeny yellow color. It's very striking. Um, on our way back to Calgary, I took this picture here. You could see we were driving into dark, dark clouds. And sure enough, a while after I took this picture, the sky just opened up and it bucketed. I was like very nervous as we were driving through it. But just look how striking it is. It's just gorgeous. I didn't take that many scenery pictures. I mostly took graveyards, tombstones. Um, I'm kicking myself. On the day that we interred the ashes, we met five um, five members of of my mother-in-law's extended family, one first cousin and four second cousins, or first cousins once removed. Um, their grandmother would have been her aunt, her dad's sister. So I'm kicking myself because I didn't get pictures with any of them, but they were delightful to me. They're all older, in their, I would guess, in their at least 70s and 80s, if not. I think one was actually in her 90s and sharp as a tack, and hearing, perfect hearing, uh, was, she was just a delight. So it was just so cool meeting some of this extended family and then spending time with Cameron's a couple of his cousins and their families. And then Cameron's sister made the trip out from BC also. She flew out, and we spent Sunday after the interment driving around to where their parents grew up. Um, and yeah, that was the highlight of my trip for sure, was doing that. Then we headed back. Monday, we headed it to Calgary, so we stayed overnight there. And then in the morning, Cameron got up, and he hadn't slept very well the night before, and I was kind of aware at some level of some moaning and groaning happening, and but never really fully woke up to it. But he was not feeling well. He was all achy and had a fever. And I said, okay, like, are you okay to, he wanted to drive, so okay, fine. Um, I was starting to feel a little bit off, and I said, I think when we get to Kamloops, which is the uh, main city closest to where our cabins are, where we're going to stop and get groceries, I said, I think we should see if we can pick up some COVID tests, because that'll help determine how we spend the next few days, because the plan was to spend the next few days at the cabins with my mom and a couple of overnights with one of my sisters and her husband. So, got our groceries and stuff. We wore masks just in case, we want to be smart about things. And a little way out of Kamloops, we pulled over at a rest area so he could test, and immediately it was positive. So instead of staying in the same cabin with the others, we stayed in a different cabin, and then we just interacted outside for the majority of the part. And when we were inside together, because I was cooking the meals, just put masks on. And so far, knock wood, everyone that we encounter is healthy. We were especially concerned about Cameron's sister because she rode around in the car with us all day on the Sunday. But so far, she's not gotten sick. So hoping that we're past the worst of it. It's now, for her, would be a week and a half after exposure. So hopefully if she hasn't gotten sick by now, she's not going to. So Cameron had, other than that one day not feeling well, I just kept giving him Tylenol every 4 hours to keep the fever down, and that broke by the next day. And he wasn't too bad. I kept saying, "Wow, we sure got off really light this time. That's really good." And then mine started to get a little worse. So over the weekend was this past weekend was sort of my worst time, with a lot of congestion and coffee and aching and stuff like that. But we're both testing negative now, and Cameron's back to work, and I'm more or less the same. Yeah, I'm a little bit tired or feeling a little off, but not too bad. So that's my third time with it. That's Cameron's second. Both times he's gotten off lighter than I have. Probably out of the 3 times, this would be my, I don't know. Second time was definitely my worst. Probably first and third, maybe about the same, but no worse than a bad cold. So thankfully it didn't ruin our first part of our trip. And it actually wasn't a bad place to convalesce, being up at the cabin. We sort of thought about it. We could have come home, but it's like, why don't we just stay here? It's nice here. We're isolating. We're comfortable. Like, let's just enjoy being at the cabin. That was what we had planned to do for a few days. So that was a nice end to the trip, despite being sick. Speaking of the cabins, so the wedding plans are progressing for our younger son and his fiance. So they are getting married up there in about be 3 weeks on Saturday. It's coming up really quickly, but they seem to have things pretty well in hand. We had a little chat with them last night, a video chat, and kind of going over things. And yeah, plans are falling into place. So I think we are probably going to go up the weekend beforehand and just kind of make sure beds are made in the various cabins and things are clean, and tidy up the grounds and just do some last minute things. So guests are going to start arriving the following Friday, and going to have a big, like a barbecue that night. They'll get married the next day, have kind of like a little wedding lunch that's being done by some people from town, that my mom knows that do this. It's a group that also does some catering on the side of their usual activities. And then they're bringing in food from a local-ish restaurant for dinner. So a lot of the meals aren't too bad. We're kind of taking care of the barbecue and some breakfast things, but a lot of people have to work, so they'll be heading out Sunday after breakfast anyway. So I think things will go fine. Don't remember if I said last episode or not. Our future daughter-in-law, she found a dress. It's very beautiful. I offered, if she wanted, I would make her a little shawl like I did for my other daughter-in-law, or have her kind of look through what I already have and see if there's something she'd like. So they're coming over for dinner tomorrow night, so we'll kind of finalize that. So I'm either going to be frantically knitting a wedding shawl in the next few weeks, or maybe I have one that she would like already. So we'll see. But I was kind of tickled that she would like me to do that. I found a dress. Right when I found out they'd moved up the wedding, I went dress shopping and found a dress, but I wanted a little cover up for that. And I had tried on some boleros in little short jackets in the store. Couldn't find a navy or white one in my size. But long story short, when we got back from holidays, I went online and actually in the same shop, I found a navy one, and I had tried it on in the store in black in my size, but they didn't have a navy one. So I found a navy one online, and it came, I think, yesterday or day before, and it's great. So, phew, I can stop worrying about what I'm wearing. Cameron's easy. He has lots of things to choose from. So that wasn't, why is it, guys? It's so easy for them. Um, anyway, so yeah, that's coming together, as is our house. Bit by bit, bit by bit. So I think the last time I spoke to you, we'd gotten our cabinets installed, both kitchen and bathroom. So all our plumbing's been hooked up. Then we had painters, or a painter come in the week before we left for holidays and painted all the high spots that I couldn't reach, and then did the trim that divides sort of the top and the bottom of the walls. It's where the drywall meets, from my understanding. And so that's all of the, or both the original paint and the baby blue paint that was on the walls when we moved in has entirely disappeared. And it's just nice to see as we are in our living room and dining room and kitchen, like it's the same color from top to bottom, just divided by this white trim. And so it just looks so much better. And then the day we left, the kitchen people were coming in to do a little bit of finishing, and also another company was coming in to do the venting for the hood fan. So we have a combination microwave, like an over-the-range microwave that has the hood fan attached. So they came in and mounted that. So when we came home, that was done. And then just yesterday, the kitchen people were back, finished the last little bit of finishing that needed to be done. So I had been able to move quite a few things into the kitchen before that, but then I was now able to kind of complete the rest of the things. The only thing lacking in the kitchen now are the tile backsplash, which happens in a couple of weeks, and baseboards, which I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen. It was scheduled for the end of the month, but with everything going on, I think I'm going to see if we can delay that till after I get back from Norway in September, because I have to, we have to still get all the trim and have to paint it. And I just panicking a little bit. There's not a lot of time left between now and then. And I do have to do some prep for my trip. So I need to get in contact with the guy who's going to do it and just see if we can't put that off a little bit longer. Then I can relax more. So that just leaves me with something good. So last night, after I had finished unpacking or putting sort of some final things away in the kitchen, when Cameron got home, I pounced on him and said, I need your help with these big boxes. So we had, when we moved, pardon me, I said, I am not packing all the breakable stuff. The treat to myself, I'm getting someone else to come in and wrap up all the dishes and china and wine glasses and breakable ornaments, all that kind of stuff. Not ornaments, but things you put around your house. And I guess they're ornaments. Anyway, so we had unpacked some, of course, like our kitchen dishes and things, but there were others that were mostly things like china and wine glasses and fancy plates, things that I didn't need right away and I didn't have a place to put them. And so we have been moving these 4 big boxes around our dining room and living room area for, well, 4.5 months, shifting them here and shifting them there. And they had been stacked to one on top of each other, two stacks of them. So they're too big for me to get down. So as soon as Cameron got in, it's like, can you help me get these down? It's time to start unpacking them. And so we spent a good part of last evening. I'd unwrap, he'd smooth out the paper. We have a stack of wrapping paper about 3 feet high. Got about half a box to still do. I have a lot of things are spread around. I want to see exactly what I have before I start trying to put them away in the buffet sideboard. But some things were going in the cupboards, like things I was just like, oh, yay, like the lid for the electric frying pan got wrapped up, got put in with china and stuff that I didn't need right away. Trying to think what else. There were a few things. Oh, like the coffee pot. Now, Cameron and I are not coffee drinkers, so that wasn't a big deal, but I had the coffee maker part, but not the pot. A few things like that. We haven't had an actual, like, regular, like, salad bowl to mix salad in since we moved. We've been using a mixing bowl. So that got unpacked. So as I'm opening things, like, oh, here this is, or things I'd kind of forgotten about, some old treasures, like, oh, this is great. And then some things are like, yeah, this isn't going to really match our new space. Time to let this thing go. And others, it's like, oh, this is going to look perfect here. So it was kind of like Christmas yesterday evening, just unwrapping things, rediscovering things. So have about half a box to go. And once everything's unpacked, then I can start deciding where some things are going to go. We also have at the very top of our cupboards in the kitchen, we have like lighted display cupboards. And sort of got to sort out what's going to go in there. We're realizing that we need to get something in them to lift them up so that they're going to be more visible, because they're high up and the angle is such that you can't see them face on, plus because there's a fairly wide frame around them. We need to find something to lift these, lift up the bottom of the shelf, essentially, to put something in there for the various things to rest on so that they can be more visible. So I got to figure that out over the weekend. Like I thought maybe some foam, white styrofoam or something, cut to size, or maybe some shelving, just get some white wood to stack on top of the existing shelves. Not sure, but we'll figure it out. But it's like just exciting to see all my treasures again. So that is definitely something good, because that marks a significant stage in our renovation, because we will have our living room slash dining room now devoted to just the things that belong there. We have not had just the things that belong there since they moved in. So now it's just living room furniture and dining room furniture. I can start finding my family photos, putting them out on the mantle, and figuring out where plants are going to go and other decorations. They are decorations, right? Knickknacks. You know what I mean. Anyway, it's just making things feel even more settled. And now I have a working kitchen again, so yay, that's awesome. So things are going good. So are going well, I should say. So yeah, once I get to that stage where I feel like it's really kind of done, then I'll give you a peek at things. I know I've had people asking about it, so eventually you'll get a new house tour, but not quite yet. All right, I think that's it. I am really hoping that I can get another episode out before the wedding and before I go to Norway, because I leave for Norway 4 days after the wedding, but we get back from the cabins on the Monday and I leave on the Wednesday. And so there's not going to be time for podcasting. Then we'll have my mom with us. Oh, yeah, I got a call today. Our sofa bed is being delivered on Tuesday. So we'll be able to set up our guest room too. That'll be awesome. That's our last furniture that we're waiting on. So, yeah, I'm really hoping to be able to record again sort of the week before the wedding, but I don't know if it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's going to probably be about 6 weeks until I record again. So I'd really like to try and get one in. But if I can't, I can't. That's just life. And I'm sure you understand. So, anyway, it was great to catch up with you today. Keep the comments coming. I'm not always good about answering them, but I did sit down this morning and catch up on them from last episode. So thanks so much for all your interaction and kind and encouraging words. I do appreciate them very much. Um, so yeah, have a good next few weeks. I hope to see you kind of early September. So take care till then. Thanks for watching. Bye.